leads to an arrest, you could earn a cash reward. Victoria Mayor Jeff Bouknight released a proclamation to denounce anti-Semitism in the city. We spoke with a local representative for the Jewish community, Dr. Gary Branfman. He showed the Temple B'nai Israel, established in 1858, and the actual burial site of the first Jewish man in Victoria. Dr. Branfman says the decision to stand against anti-Semitism is bigger than just the Jewish community.
Any racism, bigotry against any group is a target against people, not against that group. Doesn't matter if it's anti-Semitism, anti-black, anti-gay, it's racism.
After battling with his own situations of prejudice, Dr. Branfman sees a bright future for Victoria. The proclamation is the first step. Also, the Jewish community celebrates Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day. Mayor Bouknight declared today and tomorrow as Victoria Congregation B'nai Israel Days. The current Temple B'nai Israel was built in 1923. You have another chance to learn about Victoria College's May 6 bond election. Voters will decide a $10 million bond issue to help with a $36.5 million project for a student success center. Victoria College already has $26.5 million in grants, gifts, and institutional funds for the project. The college is hosting its second bond informational session tomorrow at the Campus Student Center at 2200 East Red River Street. Early voting starts April 24th and runs through May 2nd. Here's your viewer poll this afternoon. You can scan the QR code on your screen to vote now. Do you plan to attend the Victoria College Bond Issue Informational Session Tuesday? Yes, no, or maybe. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. We'll have an update on what you and your neighbors are saying on 25 News Now at 6. The Bloomington ISD superintendent announced his retirement today. Mark Anglin has led the Bloomington ISD for 4 years. In a Facebook statement, Anglin says it was a difficult decision to retire from the best job he ever had. Anglin says his retirement from the Bloomington ISD is the best decision for his family. Wishing him well. Let's take a look at your first warn storm team forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis. Mac?
Hey, James, did you like that weather on Sunday?
I wanted to thank you for it. Thank you so much.
There you go. My pleasure. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy to help. I know that Saturday night we got a little interesting with the thunder, that sort of lightning that came through, but it's very hard to find any rainfall totals. Right now it's 75 degrees. The winds turned around. They're now out of the southeast and they're going to be getting stronger. It's back to one of those weeks with the windy, warm weather and the clouds are rolling back in. We'll have a look at all of that and take a look at your extended outlook coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. James?
Thank you, Mac. Investigators have determined the cause of a large fire at a dairy farm near Dimmitt. It happened last Tuesday. Authorities say a piece of equipment used at the farm is to blame. The fire left one person in critical condition and the fire killed more than 17,000 cattle. It still isn't determined exactly what component of the equipment failed. Identical pieces of gear have caught fire previously at this farm and at another farm. The Texas State Capitol evacuated Sunday after a bomb scare. Austin police received a 911 call from an unknown person who said there was a pipe bomb on Capitol grounds. The DPS cleared the area and searched the area. Explosive canine units were used. Nothing was found and the all clear was given. A tweet from the Austin PD says the DPS's Criminal Investigation Division is now looking into the incident. A body found on Galveston Beach 30 years ago, now identified through genetic testing as an exchange student from Tanzania. Here's more on the investigation.
The man discovered on the beach in May of 2020 is 24-year-old Calvin Mbwambo. Galveston police partnered with a private genetic testing lab called Othram to help figure out his identity. Police know Mbwambo drowned, but they found nothing on the beach that day that would help them identify his body.
It was just a gentleman, water, sand. We didn't know anything.
The only clues on the day the 24-year-old was found included what he was wearing: black swim trunks and size 11 sandals that were strapped to his hands. Detectives believe Calvin may have used those sandals to try to stay afloat in the water. Thanks to genetic testing, we now know Calvin Mbambwa was an exchange student from Tanzania. It remains unclear why he was in Galveston and what led up to his drowning.
Supreme Court justices are considering a lower court ruling that would place restrictions on access to an abortion drug. Numerous abortion rights rallies held over the weekend. These protests come days after a Texas judge suspended the FDA's approval of the abortion pill mifepristone. Mifepristone, the Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito extended a lower court's hold on the ruling at least until Wednesday night to allow the justices time to fully examine the issue. A decision could come this week. A substitute teacher in Mesquite fired accused of organizing student fights in the classroom. A 13-year-old student shot video of the incident. The student's mother says she fears for her daughter's safety. Administrators say the substitute encouraged fights and outlined rules for the students to follow. The mother says her daughter didn't want to fight and was verbally assaulted for that. She says she's not satisfied with the district's response. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says the state legislature there will advance a bill aimed at allowing a state takeover of Disney-controlled land. He previously tried to take over a special tax district that gives Disney control over the land around its Disney World resort. DeSantis assigned his own representatives to the board to take it over from Disney control. However, the outgoing board stripped the district of its powers and gave them directly to Disney. The new bill seeks to nullify that action.
There is a bill that will be put out in the Florida legislature that will make sure that the agreements purported to be entered into by Disney are revoked and the people's will is established and is upheld. And that is something that's very important.
DeSantis claimed the outgoing board's action was improper. The conflict between Disney and DeSantis started when Disney took a position against a Florida law that prohibits sexual orientation and gender identity from being discussed in classrooms. A Kansas City teen released from the hospital after mistakenly going to the wrong house to pick up his brothers. He was shot by the homeowner who was taken into custody and later released.
The Kansas City community protesting on Sunday after 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was shot as he was trying to pick up his siblings last week. Police say Yarl accidentally went to the wrong address, where he was shot and seriously wounded by the homeowner. Officers arrived at the scene after a neighbor called 911 and took the homeowner immediately into custody.
Our heart goes out to the juvenile victim, and more than anything, to make sure that this child and this child's family knows that there are people working hard, a number of people working hard, to make sure there is justice for this person.
The homeowner, who has not been identified, was released after 24 hours pending further investigation. The police department says they're waiting to obtain a formal statement from the victim and further forensic evidence.
I want everyone to know that I'm listening, and I understand the concern that we are receiving from the community. The information that we have now, it does not say that it's racially motivated. That's still an active investigation. But as a chief of police, I do recognize the racial components of this case. I do recognize and understand the community's concern.
Yarl's aunt says her nephew loves music and is a section leader in his marching band. She says his goal is to attend Texas A&M University to study chemical engineering. Civil rights attorneys Lee Merritt and Benjamin Crump are representing the victim and his family and demanding swift action, and are calling the shooting horrendous and unjustifiable.
As a mother of 3 children, this enrages me.
And protesters gathering Sunday outside the home where Yarl was shot, demanding justice.
He is alive. He is healing. Yes. So I just want to tell you thank you for being here, because my nephew is alive.
The homeowner was released because Missouri state law requires a person either be charged or released after 24 hours. Police say they need to get a formal statement from Jarl and they need to gather more evidence. This Thursday at 6 and 10, catch a 25 News Now Extra with Adam Seibel. We joined ABC News for their extended coverage this week on Earth Day with Climate Crisis, the Power of Water. We'll hear from farmers in Matagorda County and learn more about the impact the Texas-Colorado River and recent droughts have on their crops. That's April 20th on 25 News Now at 10.